Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to be talking about my monthly goals, or really my monthly action steps. These are the action steps that I have broken down and focus on taking monthly in order to make progress on my goals. And I love sharing that with you. I love bringing you along for my goal journey, not because I assume you have the exact same goals that I do. In fact, I don't think any two people have the exact same goal. Even if it seems like we have the same goal, there is something unique about your life and your why that makes your goal just a little bit different. But I share this with you for you to see that sometimes things don't always go as planned, for you to get a sense of how I figure out what to change and what to implement for my goals going forward. Now, this monthly goals video is a little bit funky because we are starting a new quarter. So I will go through my March action steps, how they went, which ones I did, which ones I didn't do at all. One of them I did 0. And those action steps are all based on my Q1 goals. Then I will go into my April action steps, and all of those are based on my Q2 goals. So if you haven't watched my quarterly goals video from yesterday, I would recommend that you watch that one first, and then this video will make a lot more sense. But let's start with March, and let's start with our one-time action steps. So the first one was to finish December daily. I don't even know what I want to say about this. I did not do it. I didn't even make progress on it. That's why there's no check mark in the progress section. This action step also had nothing to do with my quarterly goals. This was just something that I wanted to do this month, and I thought putting it on my goal planner would make it more likely to get done, and it didn't. And I have some ideas on why that is, but ultimately, the fact that this isn't related to any of my Q2 or my Q1 goals is probably the biggest reason why that didn't happen. Now, I did have somebody comment last month saying, do you think it's time maybe you give up December daily? And I want to make sure that I share I have no intentions of giving up December daily. I have been doing, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a scrapbooking project that you do in the month of December, and you do one story every single day from the 1st until either Christmas or the end of the month. And up until last year, I had done it for 4 years prior, and it was awesome. I feel like I didn't struggle at all. It was great. I spent a whole day in November preparing for December. I kept up with it daily, and by the end of the month, I had a finished, beautiful album that I felt really great about. And this past year was different, which makes sense because I had just had a baby and she was 3 months in December. So it is what it is. I still want to finish last December's album. And just because I'm struggling to finish this one now doesn't mean that I am not planning to do it again in December. And I just wanted to share that because I wanted to make sure that my videos weren't making it sound like I wanted to give up on this project, because I don't at all. In fact, I think it's, for me now, more important than ever. But wow, we are going off on a tangent. This is gonna be a long video if I spent first 5 minutes talking about December daily. So let's keep going. It didn't happen. I will probably share more about it eventually this year in a vlog when I do get to my album. I'm pointing it because it's all sitting right here next to me. All right, the next 3 one-time steps were all related to scheduling doctor's appointments, and I did all of those. And if you watched the quarterly video, you'll know that I achieved that quarterly goal. I almost feel like that quarterly video is a little bit of a spoiler alert for this video, because like if I talked in that video about how I accomplished them all, well then of course I'm gonna tell you I accomplished all the March ones. I don't know, maybe there is a world where instead of doing Q1 and Q2 together and then March and April together, it would be more beneficial to do March and Q1 and then Q2 and April. Let me know your thoughts. If grouping them like I have been grouping them for however many years now makes sense to you, or if doing it the way I just said would be better. Let me know. Thank you. All right, the next one-time step was to pick a swim place for my daughter, and we did that. Feeling good about that one. The next one-time step was to work on our New York City plans. And this one we haven't even started. And I think I know why. This is one of those action steps that I can't do on my own. And I tell you all the time to the best of your ability, make sure that the action steps you are putting down on this piece of paper are things that are 100% within your control and things that you can do. And I did not do that this month. Planning our trip to New York requires multiple people, conversations with multiple people. It obviously requires conversations and planning with my husband, who is going on the trip. It also requires plans with my parents, who are going on the trip as well. It also requires conversations with our friends that live in New York. And there are just so many moving parts to this that while it is something that we need to do, it is not something that I could do on my own, and therefore did not need to be on this piece of paper. And I feel like I try to explain all the time the difference between goals and tasks. And I have a whole video that I've done on that in the past that probably could use a reboot. And ultimately there's no right answer. It's whatever works for you. And I think I have to remember what works for me is that this piece of paper, my goal planner, is stuff that is 100% in my control. All right, the next one-time step was to send the monthly summary email for our finances to my husband, and I did that. Feel good about that one being consistent now, and I will do it every month without it needing to be on my goal planner. The next one was to do 10 monthly tasks, and this is kind of how I feel about the rhythm related to monthly and weekly tasks. As of the filming of this video on March 20th, I am at 9. I am for sure gonna do at least 10, if not more, so that feels really good. I talked about this a little bit more in the quarterly goals video, but there will be a upcoming live chat that is going to be about this specific topic. Are these recurring monthly and weekly tasks, how I am tackling them, and how I feel like it's finally working for me after what feels like years of trying to figure it out. The next one-time step was to organize and go through the cookbooks. And this one I crossed off pretty early. I realized, I don't know, maybe a week into March that there was no way I was gonna do all of these things. We had company coming twice. Last weekend we have company, and then not this weekend, but next weekend we have company coming. We also have my birthday that we're celebrating. We also had our anniversary that we were celebrating. I was like, I need to take something off of my plate, and this was the thing that got crossed off. Never say never that I'm not gonna go through the cookbooks. I just don't think it's necessarily a key step to that overarching goal. I think it was me trying to find a step to keep making progress on this goal, and I don't ultimately think it was necessary. The last one-time step was to organize all of the baby stuff in the kitchen. Like my little girl's eating real food. Like what? But I did that. It's all organized, and it like makes, I can't talk about it. Okay. All right, moving into the weekly steps, which the weekly steps this month were not on their own. They were either a breakdown of the monthly or a summary of the daily. So the first one was to do one monthly task per week. And obviously, if you do the math, there were 5 weeks in March, or by the time you're watching it, it was a were. For me right now, it's still an R. And so if I did one monthly task per week, that doesn't get me to my monthly goal of 10. But I still set a weekly goal of doing at least one so that I'm doing something. And so then even if I only did one the first 4 weeks, I would still have to do 6 the last week to hit my monthly goal, but at least it wasn't a full 10. Now, what's awesome is that in an effort to make that last week not have a bunch of them, because it is my birthday week, but of course there's 2 monthly goals that kind of have to be done the last week, so I couldn't get that one down to 0. But I have been doing more earlier in the month so that I can have less to do at the end of the month. And the way that I've been tracking that and getting credit or seeing that progress that I'm making, besides the check marks in the notes app on my phone, which is where I actually track all of these things. Definitely getting ahead of myself for that live. But I've been writing the number that I have been doing next to my little check mark. And I actually got that idea from my little sister. When we broke down her goals at the beginning of the year, a lot of her goals are daily goals, and then she also has weekly summaries. And so she likes to see the little number so that if she does better or she doesn't get the check mark, she can see how far off she really was. So you can see for the monthly tasks, I've gotten the check mark every single week, and some weeks I've done more. Then the weekly tasks, the weekly goal is to do 5 per week. And in a dream world, I'm doing 1 per day, Monday through Friday. That is my goal. I don't want to have to worry about these things on the weekends. I said this in some video, I think it was a live. I am really, really working towards a life, both business and household things, where I don't have to do anything on the weekends. Now, are there gonna be scenarios that I do things on the weekends because something during the week is different? Yes, never say never that I'm not going to have to work or do a household task on a weekend. But in a general sense, I would like it to not be that way. That would be my goal. Like, I work for myself so that I can control that. And so again, for weekly tasks, it's 1 weekly thing, Monday through Friday. So you can see week 1, I did 4, so I didn't get the check mark, but I still put the little 4, so I know that it's more than 0. And then the last 2 weeks, I've actually done 7, which is how many right now, how many weekly tasks I have like in my plan. And then in the daily section, you can see actually what days I did that. So yes, I'm tracking it in 2 places. I'm probably making this more complicated or not explaining it well, but I like that I can see the progress that I'm making on a daily basis, and then it summarizes on a weekly basis. So you will see a lot of very similar tracking methodologies in Q2 in April. All right, the next daily step was to read my nonfiction book, and I did a pretty good job of that. I did it 70%. I haven't checked off today's, but I did it 14 out of 20 days so far, and I actually feel like I'm finally making progress on some of my nonfiction books, so that feels really good. And then the last daily step was to work on December daily. I knew I wasn't gonna work on it every day, but I thought I would work on it more days than 0 and check it off. But as we already talked about, that didn't happen. So overall, I feel really good about March. Let's move into April, which again are based on an entirely new set of quarterly goals. So while some things will look the same, a lot of things are going to look very different. So the first 2 one-time action steps are related to my quarterly goal of working out, prioritizing working out. So the first one is to make a list of workout places, like workout studios, dance studios, places I want to go take in person in Chicago, because I don't actually know of any of them. I have seen advertisements on Instagram. I have an advertisement. There's like one, Fit for Mom Chicago. I saw that advertisement. There is a dance studio in our neighborhood. That one I do know about. But otherwise, I want to make a list of all the options of places that I want to try. And then my goal in April is just to take 1 class, 1 workout class outside of the house in April. The next one-time step is related to the quarterly goal of exploring Chicago. And my goal for April, the action step for April, is just to make a list of places that at least I want to explore in Chicago. Eventually, I may have a conversation with my husband and see if he wants to add anything to it. But what I learned last quarter or last month is that the action steps really need to be things that I can control. So I'm gonna make my list. And there's some things I already know that I want to be on that list. And kind of like I talked about in the quarterly goals video, I'm going to break it up into kind of 3 categories. One is attractions, experiences, like I really want to go to the aquarium. The second one is restaurants, bars, coffee shops. The third one is neighborhoods that I want to explore. And so I'm going to make a list. We may end up going to 1 or 2 of them in April. We'll see, but nothing is planned, and planning them is a step that does require other people. So I'm not going to worry about that in April. I'm just going to worry about the list, not worry about it. I'm going to work on it. All right, the next one-time step is the monthly tasks. Again, I'm solidifying them in Q2, and I'm put the goal down to do 12. I did 10 in March, and I probably will end up doing more, because there's, like I said, I'm at 9 right now, and there's a couple more that I for sure will get to. So I made my goal for April to do 12, so I'm upping it a little bit. The next one-time step is to make a plan for the cleaning routine. I talked in the quarterly goals video, I feel like I've said that line a million times in this video, but in the quarterly goals video, I talked about how the cleaning, like planning a cleaning, implementing a cleaning routine is the quarterly goal. In April, I don't want to add any of those steps yet. I just want to make a plan. In an ideal world, what would that look like? What would the steps be? How often would I do them, etc. All right, the next 2 one-time steps are related to the getting confident with the tools in our kitchen. So in April, I am focusing on the air fryer. And so the 2 steps that I have, the first one is to watch a video about how to use an air fryer. Like I just guess a lot, like with the temperature and the time when I'm cooking things, to be totally honest. And I am sure there are resources if I just go on YouTube on how to use my air fryer better, or period. And then the next one is to make a list of air fryer recipes. And I don't even mean complicated things. I mean, I find myself Googling like how to air fry frozen broccoli. I still haven't figured it out. I feel like if it's frozen, I can't get it to cook all the way through without being burnt. I have not figured that out. So like that's one of my goals this month, is to cook the frozen broccoli without burning it. Or I guess I just have to suck it up and buy fresh, because the fresh broccoli always turns out fantastic, but the frozen broccoli does not. When I'm trying to save myself time without having to cut the broccoli. Anyways, I'm just gonna make a list of recipes in April. If you're an air fryer pro, or you have any resources for air fryers that you would like to share, please, I will gladly accept them. All right, the weekly goals. So there are 2 weekly goals that I have set for working out. And I'm doing both. I debated for a while whether I was gonna do just one or do both. And I'm doing both to see which one is more motivating for me, ultimately. I don't feel like I need to have both forever, but I feel like at the beginning, having both is helpful to see which one is more inspiring. So the first one is a minute goal. So how many minutes did I spend working out? If this is ultimately on the Peloton, whether it's a strength class or a yoga or actually getting on the bike, a class on the Peloton, how many minutes did I spend doing workout classes on the Peloton? And I haven't written down the actual minute goal yet, and I don't know that I'm gonna share that anywhere because there's so many components to that. But I am waiting to decide kind of how I end up the month of March, and I will probably do my average and then lower it a little bit to start small. And then the next one is the number of days. So this is how many days, which right now I'm averaging like 3. I talked about this in a vlog. I'm pretty good at like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I kind of fizzle out and I don't do Thursday or Friday. And even last week I was like, yeah, well, Thursday I go to swim class with my daughter and then Friday we go to gymnastics. So like that should count. Like helping your 6-month-old hold on to a little bar at gymnastics is not a workout. Anyways, that will probably be the goal to start, is 3 days, and then we'll see how it goes. And maybe ultimately I won't ever increase it, and 3 per week is awesome, and that is my goal, and I am comfortable with that. But we're gonna see. There's gonna be a lot of trial and error, I think, going on in this goal this month, or this quarter maybe. And then the other 2 weekly steps are pretty much the same as I had in March. The first one is a further breakdown of the monthly goals. So instead of 1 per week, my goal is to do 2 per week. Still doesn't add up to 12, I get that. I still need to average more than 2 per week in order to get there, but at a minimum, I wanna do 2 per week. And then the weekly is to do 7 weekly tasks. So I increased that one a little bit as well. All right, moving on to the daily steps. I have filled them all in. I do have 6 daily steps. But what I always tell you is not to have more than 1 brand new daily item in your daily section. And when I look at my daily steps, I do only have 1 brand new action, like 1 thing that I have to do. The other ones are either something I've already been doing or I'm just tracking it to see how it goes. So the first one is working out. It's just a further breakdown of my day goal, right? The weekly is to do it 3 days per week. I want to see what those days look like on the daily section. I am not going to do it every single day. That is not the goal. That is really just for tracking and seeing the progress that I'm making. So let's say there's a week that I only work out 2 days. I don't get that check mark up in the weekly section, but I can see those 2 check marks down in the daily section. The next one is to do my PM routine. Again, this is something I'm already doing some of the days. I just want to do it more of the days than I have been doing it. So it really is a solidifying of something I've already been doing and tracking it so that I can improve upon it next month. The next 2 daily items are related to spending less time on my phone. That's the ultimate goal. So there's 2 steps that I'm taking in April. I really debated only making it 1, but I'm gonna shoot for both and we're gonna see how it goes. If I decide I need to let one of them go, I will. But I do think they're going to play well with each other. So the first one is the biggest culprit of me spending time on my phone, and that is Instagram. And it is setting an Instagram limit and sticking to it. So if you have an iPhone, your phone has the capability of setting a limit on a specific app or on a group of apps and saying, I'm only gonna spend this much time. And then when you've hit that time, your little app is grayed out. You can overwrite it, and you can overwrite it pretty easily. And there have been times in the past where I've gotten into a unfortunate habit of overwriting it very easily. And so I need to work on that and not overwriting it. The limit is, I'm not gonna share that with you because that is something, I actually haven't figured it out yet for April, but I probably won't share it because A, I'm embarrassed, and B, there is no right answer. And sometimes I feel like when I share these numerical things, like even going back to the workout minutes, you might think, well, that's like the right goal. And I need to also be working out this many minutes, or I need to also be spending this many hours, minutes on Instagram. But everybody's life is different. There are times that I'm on Instagram for work, but there are also times that I'm not. So I am not ultimately gonna share that number with you, but the goal in April is just to, if I hit the limit, that's fine. I can't overwrite it. The other spending less time on my phone action step is to have a PM cutoff time. So at a certain time, which I haven't decided this time yet either, that my phone, everything grays out. All the apps gray out except for maybe my like Audible/Libby app for audiobooks. nothing else on your phone you're using. And the reason I think these two will play well together is because typically if I'm gonna override that Instagram limit, it's going to be after a certain time of night. So that's why I wanted to try them both in the same month, although I guess trying them separately may have helped me really figure out which one works better, but regardless, I'm doing them both. So those are my action steps to help me hopefully spend less time on my phone. The next daily action step is the one brand new step, although technically it's not brand new because years ago I was doing this step, and that is going through photos on my phone. If you watched the quarterly goals video, we looked it up together. I have 26,000 photos to go through on my phone, which is about 300 a day. It's a little bit less. I'm giving myself a little bit of a buffer, but I'm also hoping there will be days that I do more than 300. It really depends on the batch of photos that I'm on. There are times when I get to photos where I was like taking a picture of my planner for Instagram and I took the same picture 50 times. And it is so easy to clear through 50 photos like that. Now, if it's 50 photos of my daughter, it's probably, I haven't had this goal since I had her. It might take me longer because I'm gonna wanna look at each one and make sure each one is not perfect and awesome that I wanna keep forever and ever. I have so many photos of her. So there might be days that I go above and beyond that, and I did already build in a little bit of a buffer, but the goal is to do 300 per day. And then the last daily step is just like last month, and that is to track the weekly tasks. Again, not necessarily trying to do it every day. Well, I'd like to do it Monday through Friday to add up to the 7 over the course of the week. And so I just want to get that check mark for the day. So those are my goals for April. I'm excited. The other thing I think I really like about Q2 goals is just that fresh start. It feels like a fresh start all over again. Like they're so different, right? If you compare like January to February and February to March, some of my action steps are the same. And now some of my action steps are the same in April, but it still feels fresh and exciting. So I am excited. Let me know down in the comments, what is one goal that you have set for April that you are really excited about? I want you to share it with us, and so we can get excited with you. That is gonna be it for this video. If you liked it, if you like these goals videos, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna do that whole thing again. Hold on. Awkward. Okay, one more time. I don't necessarily think I don't think it was, the next Valentine's,